Turning your thoughts, experiences, and ideas into written words can be a challenge. If you're watching this video, you've likely hit one of 3 roadblocks. 1, you love writing, but you don't know what to write. 2, you have tons of ideas but can't narrow them down. Or 3, you know what you want to write, but can't seem to get it on paper. So let's jump into each issue and figure out how to get the ball rolling again. Problem number 1. You love writing, but you don't know what to write. Odds are, if you've got an itch to write, you won't have much trouble finding something to write about. On the other hand, if you want to start writing just to earn a quick dollar, this probably isn't the right business for you. But if you really love writing, let's work through a few exercises to get the ideas flowing and start narrowing down the niche you'd like to occupy. Start by grabbing a big sheet of paper. Write down everything you love doing. Here are a few questions to consider. When was the last time you completely lost yourself in something you were doing? What activities make you forget to eat, sleep, or go to the bathroom? What makes you lose track of time? When you have time to yourself, what do you most often find yourself doing? Even when you feel exhausted, what would you like to do? Now grab a second sheet of paper and write down everything you are good at or know a lot about. What do friends and family ask you about? What do you like to give advice on? What do you enjoy talking about? What have you studied, learned, practiced, or developed in the past? What skills do you have? Skills may include more visible talents such as art, dancing, music, crafting, etc. However, skills also include less obvious things like organization, communication, kindness, relating to people, empathy, etc. Make sure to write these down as well. On a third sheet of paper, write down some of your experiences. Consider the following. What makes your story unique? What experiences have you had that you would like to share with others? What trials have you been through? What did you learn and how did you overcome them? What's your 0 to hero story? What transformation have you experienced in your life? While many of these questions may feel geared toward the nonfiction category, completing these exercises is still useful in preparation for writing fiction. Even in a completely fictional work, your unique experiences and interests will color your story. If you would like to write fiction, consider these additional questions. What genre do you enjoy reading? What elements do you enjoy in your favorite genre? Character development, a particular character type, relationships, action, conflict, relatability? What genre do you enjoy writing? This may be different from the genre that you enjoy reading. What genre are you good at writing? If you haven't written much yet, you may not know the answers to some of these questions. So what's the best way to figure out your niche? Just start writing. The sooner you start, the sooner you will start to understand and develop your writing style and niche. As you write your stories, you will learn what genres you write well in and which ones you enjoy best. Please don't be afraid to just experiment and always keep writing. Not every book you write will be an instant bestseller, and that's okay. You will learn a lot along the way regardless of the final success of your book. If you love what you do, your books will be an inherent success. It doesn't matter how much they sell. Now that you have an idea of what you'd like to write, take a look at the steps in the next section to create an outline for your book. And just before we continue, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you will be notified when the next video comes out. The next step will be editing your book, and there are several steps to editing that you will want to be aware of. Now on to problem number 2. You have tons of ideas but can't narrow them down. First, get out a large sheet of paper and just start writing down all the ideas you have. Write quickly and don't stop to edit or rearrange material. Just let the ideas and thoughts flow out onto the paper. Jot down any additional ideas that come to mind, ideas that are not necessarily topics or story ideas, on a separate sheet of paper. Now it's time to review your list and decide which topic to write a book on first. Take a look at your brainstorming sheet and circle or highlight the topics that you have the most ideas about. This process will look a little different if you plan to write fiction versus a nonfiction book. Fiction will look something like this. Pick 5 story ideas that you have the most ideas about and write each idea at the top of a separate sheet of paper. On each sheet of paper, flesh out each story idea. First, jot down all the plot, event, storyline, and character ideas at the top of your head. Some of your story ideas may offer up more ideas than others. If one story is already standing out, great. If not, don't worry, we will get there. Now, try to create a rough 3-act structure for your remaining ideas, the ideas with the most potential. The 3-act structure should look like this. Act 1. Introduce your main character and what he or she would like to change. Act 1 will end in a major disaster that plunges the main character into the depth of the story. Main character should now have a firm story goal they are committed to. Throughout Act 2, continue to throw roadblock after roadblock at your character, making it rather challenging to accomplish his or her story goal. Act 2 will end in yet another disaster, bigger than the first. Act 3 will determine whether or not your character reaches his or her story goal. Your 3-act structure may vary quite a bit depending on the genre you are writing in. However, the above structure provides a basic outline to get you started. Nonfiction outlines or writing examples will look something like this. First, pick 5 topics you know the most about. If you have fewer than 5 topics, even better. Write each topic at the top of a separate sheet of paper and jot down all your ideas for each idea. If you realize you don't have much to write about for one of your topics, toss it to the side. Write a brief outline for each remaining topic. Your outline should look something like this. Main topic, or what is the problem, then category, which is a subtopic, with a solution, category with a solution or solutions, and category with solution or solutions. Decide which book will be the easiest for you to write. This may be the topic you know the most about, the topic you most enjoy, or the topic you have the most experience in. Your outline may have as many subtopics and subtopics as you see fit. In fact, more subtopics may mean you have lots to write on the subject. You may be tempted to write your biggest and grandest idea first, but tackling the biggest project may lead to a lot of frustration, exhaustion, and burnout early on. Taking a simple and easy idea to completion creates an enormous sense of accomplishment and gives you the confidence to keep going. Believe me, if you start small, it will be much easier to tackle those bigger projects. You will prove to your brain that you are capable of reaching your goals and completing challenging projects. This is extremely important. Write and publish your easiest book first. Here are a couple of examples of outlines from the fiction and nonfiction categories. Fiction, which is your 3-act structure. Act 1. Carter loves bike racing and has high hopes of training for the Olympics. However, when his dad loses his already poor-paying job, Carter is forced to sell his racing bike and take up a job across the country to support his family. His story goal is to figure out how to join the Olympics without a bike. Act 2. Carter starts his new job and finds an old thrift bike to practice on. To save up for a nicer bike, he secretly takes up a night job as well. He's always sleep deprived, but determined to reach his goal. As his family's financial situation continues to decline, Carter ends up sacrificing more and more time, energy, and sleep to support them and keep up bike racing. In his desperation, he ends up with the wrong crowd, his health declines, and at the end of Act 2, he misses the train that is supposed to take him to the Olympic team tryouts for bike racing. He has risked everything to join the Olympics, and now he has missed his chance. Act 3. Carter finally realizes that something needs to give. Throughout Act 3, he sets his priorities straight, quits his job, which is a leap of faith, and somehow makes it onto the Olympic team after a crazy turn of events. He also manages to get a sponsor and is able to support his family and live his dreams as an Olympic athlete. Of course, your character does not have to achieve his or her story goal. Your character may realize that his or her goal was unrealistic or unnecessary, or perhaps the story will simply have a sad ending. This is an example of a nonfiction outline. Topic: getting your kids to eat good food. Subtopic or category: what causes your kids to refuse the good stuff. And then subtopics underneath this: personalities. You can talk about personalities, past experiences with food, texture and taste. Then your second subcategory or category: fun and simple ways to get your kids to eat good food. And subcategories: creating a positive environment, eating together, how to approach mealtime, getting your child involved in meal preparation, etc. Third section, recipes your kids will love. Breakfast recipes, lunch, dinner, snacks, and healthy dessert recipes. We will create a more detailed outline for your book later. With many nonfiction books, especially in the self-help category, you will need to be very familiar with the pain points of your target audience. That way, as you write, you can directly and efficiently address their needs. We will discuss target audience research in greater depth in the next section. Once you've nailed down your topic or storyline, it's time to actually write the book. Let's get started with some of the ideas in the next section. Problem number 3. You know what you want to write, but you can't seem to get it on paper. As we discussed in the previous section, it is extremely important to start with your easiest book idea, the topic or storyline that will give you the least trouble. This provides a more immediate sense of accomplishment and increases your chances of success, like taking your book to completion. Take the outline you compiled in the previous section and circle the subtopic, category, or scene you feel most comfortable writing first. When I am writing fiction, I often have a few exciting and compelling scenes already playing out in my head. Instead of writing the story chronologically, I will start by writing these scenes and building the story around them. Turns out, when I'm in the mood to write, that's when my best writing comes out. That's why, when I have a specific scene in mind, I am eager to get it down on paper as quickly as possible. I don't want to lose the feeling or the excitement of the event. When I write nonfiction, I follow a very similar pattern. Even while writing one section, I frequently get ideas for other sections and have to jump around a bit to make sure my thoughts are on the paper before they flee. It's a bit of a juggling act, but in the end, it's an effective method for me. The way you choose to organize and develop your writings will be unique. Don't stress too much about the technique, but do focus on the low-hanging fruit, meaning tackle the topics and scenes that are hanging at the forefront of your mind. You're likely to have other ideas fall into place as you develop these easier sections. The key to getting started is simply getting started. Motivation often follows action. Imagine the list of things you need to get done this week. It may look something like this: wash and fold laundry, vacuum the floors, change the oil in the car, mow the lawn, prep garden, and plant new seeds. Now, the way you would tackle this list is probably pretty different from the way I would tackle it. For me, gardening is not something that I enjoy and feels like a huge task. If I decide to get the gardening done first, I may feel so overwhelmed that I don't get anything done at all. However, if I pick the easiest task first, for me, doing the laundry, then I can quickly finish it and create a sense of accomplishment. That confidence builds until I am finally willing to tackle the biggest project. As you write, avoid editing like the plague. Do not try to perfect your writing or phrase things just right. This is the biggest cause of writer's block. Simply write, write, write. You may find when you go back to read and review your book that your first draft actually wasn't too bad. And you may not love editing, but at least you can get help with this part. No one can write your book for you. Technically, you can hire a ghostwriter to write a book for you, but it won't really be your book and have your voice. If you're struggling to get your words out on paper, simply grab a piece of paper or a computer and start writing. The story may feel like utter nonsense at first, but as you write, the thoughts will begin to flow. If you need an additional boost of inspiration, consider the following ideas. Find a place in nature to think and write. Take a walk around a local library. Visit a place similar to the one of the scenes in your book. Create a playlist of songs that inspire you to write. Find songs that will build the mood you'd like to portray in a particular section of your book. Participate in an activity your character does. For example, if one of your characters loves boating, go for a boat ride. Writing a book is a huge accomplishment and certainly requires a lot of hard work, but believe me, the end result will be always worth the effort. Even if your book isn't a bestseller, you can be proud of yourself for completing such a challenging task. Once you've written your book, you're ready to take it through to the next step, editing. Yay! So stay tuned for the next video and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when new videos come out. That way, we can take your book from written to published.